What's going on, snipers? Naeem Al-Obeidi here. I hope you are all having a wonderful day today. Let's just dive into our daily cryptocurrency content and analysis for today. We're going to be talking about potential breakouts in the market today, as we've just seen EOS break out over 30% now in the past 7 days. And I actually got this question from one of our Patreon members. If y'all are Patreons, y'all know over the past 24 hours, we've already called a ton of breakouts. If you're not a Patreon, the link is in the description below. But you can see how DGB over 10% gains, QLC over 15% gains, and then Nano within 2 hours over 5% gains. And how do we call out all of these trades when the market is in a bear trend? Well, there are very simple indicators that we utilize here as a technical analyst that we can also share with each and every one of you, which is why we're making this video. So I've gathered some data that I'd love to share with some of y'all to show you what we're really looking for when looking for potential breakouts. So we're going to take a look at EOS as it's already broken out, but then also other coins that haven't yet broken out, like Litecoin here, down 3%, or Monero down 3% in the past 7 days. So let's dive into this. If you're watching this after it's already published, by the way, it's a live stream, so we're going to put timestamps in the description. I know it might prolong quite a bit, but let's go ahead and dive into it. Who we have on live right now? Wow. We got quite the crowd here. Welcome here. Oh my gosh. Bobby Crypto in the house. Display in the house. I'm all in. Who else do we got here? Dozy Boy. Slime Season. Good to have you all. Somebody said have some water. Did the new one start? Welcome back. Yes, we had some audio issues at first. So let's dive into our potential breakouts for today. Starting off with this chart. So over the past couple of days, all of you snipers out there, if y'all don't know what a sniper is, by the way, the reason our channel is youtube.com/snipers is because we got to snipe these trades, right? We got to snipe into the entry. We got to snipe out in the exit. So we've been talking about altcoin dominance shifting over the past couple of days. Bitcoin's dominance is starting to drop and altcoin's dominance is starting to increase. And this is due to more investors coming into this market, signing up to exchanges like Bittrex that just opened up signups. I think it just paused it because it had so many users come in. But other exchanges like Binance seeing an influx of users, and we're seeing an influx of investors looking at alternate coins other than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So looking at this chart, Litecoin down 3%. The majority of altcoins right now are over 10% in the past 7 days, at least in the top 50. Now, if I were to look for the next potential breakout, I'm looking for a coin that hasn't yet seen over 10% gains in the past 7 days. That's one of the rules to when I'm looking for a breakout, and that's some way that we as analysts can predict potential breakouts. So one other project here that I haven't mentioned yet, Binance Coin, BNB, expected to have coin burns on April 15th and the 30th, I believe. And every time it's had a coin burn so far, it's risen up in value. You can see Binance, or the Binance coin, down 2.78% the past 7 days. Pretty low right now. So what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of opportunities in the market. Let's first dive into Bitcoin's technical analysis as we've been covering this over the past couple of days, and talk about what we're seeing right now with this RSI, because as you can see, we're starting to test this resistance level, and it's either going to form a triple top and drop, or it's going to break through this 40 and then finally enter into this neutral zone for the first time since March 25th. That's going to be a big deal for Bitcoin, because once Bitcoin is in this neutral zone, this RSI will most likely consolidate. It will retract back down, find support on that previous resistance, which will now become support, and then start the uptrend with its RSI in the neutral zone. Most likely going to see resistance here at 60 as it did before, and that would be a take profit zone if we were trading this on this chart. So let's dive into this Bitcoin technical analysis. We are going to go into this 4-hour chart here just to get a little bit of a better view of this channel that's forming here. As you all know, we're seeing some lower highs with the resistance levels and some higher lows with the support level, which is forming a symmetrical triangle or a pennant. And that's when the lines of the resistance and support converge together. And it's an indicator that we have a very uncertain market right now. And I'll draw that out for you so you can have an idea of how this looks. We'll do it on a 1 hour chart here because I think we'll get a better view of the convergence here. But you can see here how we're getting these price levels. Let's delete this channel here and pop this up. So you can see how these lows are starting to increase a little bit. These highs are starting to decrease. And we're forming this beautiful symmetrical triangle about to approach the apex, which is the end of the triangle, which will indicate that it's going to squeeze and break out positive or negative. Most likely, in my opinion, positive. Why? Well, look at this 1-day chart and look at this MACD. We're starting to see more buyers than sellers in this market. Guess what? The sellers have already been exhausted. You can see the sellers in this histogram indicated in this pink. It's so low right now, we're starting to see the start to the buyers come in. So my expectations for this MACD to start to gain some traction. That buyer sentiment right there is going to take this RSI past the neutral zone, into the neutral zone, which then leaves it into this zone where now people understand that this may indeed be the bottom for Bitcoin. So very, very nice to see this. But I think we're going to see more opportunities in these altcoins. As we know, a lot of investors are trying to transition from Bitcoin to altcoins, liquidating their capital and trying to get these intrinsically valuable projects. So we're going to be talking about some of my favorites and some of the potential breakouts, starting off with Litecoin trading at the bottom of the Fibonacci retracement at the 0.23. And we'll dive into that technical analysis in just a second. Let's take some questions from the audience now that we're done with our Bitcoin technical analysis and the altcoin dominance. So we got Michael in the house, Display, Lars, Glendring, Stephanie Joe, Mike Cesaroni. Is that an Italian name? It sounds Italian. It sounds like a good pasta. Dunk Edwards in the house, Crypto Chrissy. Someone say, is your beard finally growing? I'm growing the beard. We had a challenge. Somebody said 100 likes and you keep the beard. Oh man, I don't know about keeping it, but we're gonna grow it. Every time somebody says that, you guys keep those likes in your pocket. Somebody said, Tony from Chicago, good to have you from Chi-Town, baby. Beautiful. What's up, Steven Nijin? Any questions before we dive into our potential Litecoin breakout? Because I am very, very bullish about Litecoin right now. Look at this histogram. Oh my gosh. Barely any sellers. The buyers are starting to come in. Man, MACD fast length crossed right over that slow length. Very bullish indicator right there. Somebody said LTC to the moon. Shout out from San Diego. Good one, Crypto Life. Somebody said from London. Good to have you from London. Somebody said, nice blue blazer. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's dive into this technical analysis now that it doesn't seem we have much questions. Litecoin is trading in the bottom of the Fibonacci retracement right now. If we were to pull up that coin market cap, you can see we're down 3% for the 7-day performance. And what's also interesting is we're going on these known support levels, right? MACD is starting to show good sentiment with a little bit of buyers coming in, but there's definitely a lack of sellers. Pulling up the RSI, you can see as well, if we were to go on 40, we did find resistance there, and we're still trading below 40. However, we are not necessarily going down all the way to that 30 oversold level, and it doesn't look like we'll get back down there because we already approached that level and found a bottom there on March 30th or April 1st. So looking at this more zoomed in chart for Litecoin, we'll go to the 2-hour chart. You can see how we are trading this known bottom. Why is that a good thing? Well, as a trader, your goal is to minimize your losses and maximize your profits. So when you're going into a trade, you want to make sure that there's more upside potential than downside potential. Well, guess what? All of this right here is upside potential, and the only downside potential you really have is right here. You can easily set up a stop loss here because you know if it drops below this level, hasn't done that in a very long time. That is a very strong support level. It hasn't been under that level since prior to the December rally. So knowing that there's a lot of upside here, in my opinion, great time to get it. Matter of fact, I don't typically share these trade alerts, but Litecoin is a pretty big coin, and I love my audience here. We posted a Litecoin trade alert today. Why? because we are optimistic about Litecoin being at these lower levels. While most people are focused on these already broken out coins like EOS, I'm focused on the ones that people aren't focused on. Observe the masses, do the opposite. Write that down, baby. So that's what we're looking at right now with Litecoin. Very simple analysis. Volume is starting to go down, but I'm okay with that because that means people aren't trading it, and I'm fine because I know the price levels are where I want them to be. So that's what I'm excited about with Litecoin. One of the first coins of this video that I will say, in my opinion, as an analyst, I believe we will see some further upside for Litecoin. Now, does that mean that it's an all-in-all guarantee? No, because guess what? If we drop below this level, no big deal. See, as a trader, it's not about necessarily getting every trade right. It's about managing your risk properly, because as long as you can manage your risk, you can pretty much make it out pretty clean on every trade. So in this trade, there's very little downside, very high upside. I like Litecoin right now, and I think it's a great one to look at if you are looking for a potential breakout. And then moving on to our next one, we will go to Monero and talk about the technical analysis here and why it's also trading at low support levels, also showing with the MACD more buyer sentiment. However, there is a little bit more of that seller power here than we saw with Litecoin and Bitcoin. So Monero might be a little bit more of a, I'd say 7 out of 10 rather than like a 9 out of 10 in comparison to Litecoin, but another potential breakout. So we're going to dive into the Monero technical analysis in just a second, but let's look at our live audience and take some questions. Jose said, and that's why I joined as a Patreon. That is awesome. I actually had somebody comment that the market health updates alone are worth it. If y'all don't know, we have these
the information from Naeem and any other snipers too, of 6,000 that we have not,
and we literally will keep y'all up to date with market health updates. And these are cool because I am able to just go on my phone anytime in the day, and I can keep my charts open. I can just say, hey, this is a health update if there's a critical time in the market. So keep track of all that, and I appreciate the support, by the way, Mr. Jose Saldana. That's not an appropriate word, said BTC to hit 18,000 this month. Very interesting opinion. JV said, what will be the target for LTC? I would say it depends on what you're doing. So if y'all are on our Patreon and you saw what we described on that trade alert, I talked about how this actual trade here could also act as a long-term hold. So not only is this a swing trade, but the trade alert that was posted was also to indicate that this is a time to enter in if you are looking to hold long, because some investors aren't necessarily as proactive as others that want to day trade and swing trade constantly. So in that manner, if you want a long-term hold, I think an entry point right now with Litecoin is a great idea, being at these low levels prior to the December rally. So looking at Monero, let's dive right in here and check out the technical analysis here, because Monero is also acting in a way that I'm very optimistic about, being the fact that it's starting to consolidate. However, I do think that we may see a little bit of further downside before seeing a pump. And the reason I say that is if you look at the Fibonacci retracement, you can see how we're not quite all the way down to that Fibonacci level yet. But not only that, you can see how this drop here actually occurred all the way down around 151 US dollars. And now we're only trading like right around 166. So there's a little bit more room, but regardless, as long as your dollar cost averaging anywhere between these price levels should be a good entry point. Now, what's also cool about Monero, I think it has a little bit less upside potential right now than Litecoin. However, I think as a coin, as a privacy coin, it's one of the most mature, established coins there is. If y'all don't know who Fluffy Pony is, I actually was at a conference with him recently. He's one of the developers of Monero, but Monero has been around for so long. It has an amazing community, a lot of use case. And I know Verge, a lot of y'all are fans of Verge with the I2P protection, the ledger protection, all of that. But Verge is such a new project. Like recently they had that little vulnerability, right? Monero isn't really facing much of that. I mean, yeah, they were forced to have a possible hard fork and they had some issues come up, some bumps along the road, but at the end of the day, they've been established for quite some time now in comparison to most of these other privacy coins that are just now popping up. So in that perspective, I think Monero is still one of the leaders, and we all know that they're continuously developing and trying to enhance their project, and that's why I'm very bullish on Monero. So in my opinion, great time to enter a position here. A little bit less upside, that's why it wasn't on the trade alert, but I think it's still a potential breakout. Now, the next coin I'd like to talk about is EOS. We're currently seeing a breakout. If y'all don't know, they just released the pre-release to their mainnet, which is due in June. And as y'all know, if you have a mainnet already launched, it intrinsically brings the value of your project up, being the fact that now you have some sort of use case for people to now have an idea of how your project looks to create a vision for the future. So looking at this breakout that we're now seeing with EOS, in my opinion, I don't know if it's going to be the best time to get in at this point, only because of the fact that, yeah, it's breaking out right now, but we've already seen an increase of volume. We've seen an increase and influx of buyers, and you can see with this histogram that we're starting to cross over to this buyer side. And I think that there's still a little bit more potential to gain some traction with this trade, but I don't know if it has as much upside as some of these other coins like Litecoin. And sometimes when you're creating your portfolio as a trader, you want to make sure that you're allocating your capital properly. And sometimes if you have capital that you can put in EOS, for example, it might be better to put it in Litecoin because Litecoin has more upside, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say EOS 38% up for the past 7 days. Well, let's say it goes up to maybe 60% up, right? That's another 30% that you can gain on. Well, yeah, that's a good amount, but think about Litecoin. If it's down 3% right now and the next 7 days it goes up 60%, well, that's 60% that you have the opportunity to gain rather than just 30%. So that's why when something breaks out, I'm like, let me wait until this let me wait until this retracts again so that I can then possibly put a position into this coin and go from there. So one thing I would watch for with EOS though is we are approaching this channel that was previously formed, and we found resistance along this channel right around that $10 mark, which is a big even. As we start to approach $10, I think that's really where we're going to start to see a little bit of level off. But I think from 7 to 10, I think it's not going to be surprising to me if we can get to around that $9.50 area, just being the fact that this exuberance is most likely happening because people are realizing that EOS is a great project. They have extreme amounts of speed within their blockchain in comparison to blockchains like Ethereum. And in my opinion, a lot of projects are going to start transferring from ERC20 to the EOS platform as their mainnet launches, and we go from there. Somebody says no support will get dumped again. Hey, you never know. Somebody says Nano can surprise you. Gio said very bullish on LTC and EDA. Yeah, Cardano just had an awesome breakout today as well. Edit name says, did he already do LTC? Yes, we did. Sag Jim said Naeem is the Gaddafi of crypto. Or the Gandalf. I'm sorry, I didn't read that right. I almost said Gaddafi. That's not good. Glenn said, LOL. Ghost said, I like Ethos. What coins are you all bullish about? Let's see if any of the viewers here have good opinions. What coins are you bullish on and why? And I'm not going to read it unless you tell us why. Glenn said, ha ha ha. Emmett says, Naeem, did you remember to check out Theta token? No, I did not get a chance, Emmett, but I will have to look at that sometime soon. Mr. Salmon said, what do you think about POA? Haven't looked at that. I'm sorry, I can't look at every coin. I mean, I'm not like a 24/7 technical analyst for each and every one of you. I would drain myself out if that was the case. So I highly recommend you all try to do your own technical analysis and learn that for yourself, and even your own fundamental analysis. I really just can't do that. Unless you're a VIP on our Patreon and you are obligated that service, I just can't deem that for every single person. And that's just the truth of the nature. I mean, I try my best, but Parrish said XRP, real life case. Encash. Encash is interesting. Encash has seen quite the run up and then, retracted a bit, but I think Encash has a little bit of potential. I know a lot of people were excited about that, and it's cool because understand this, whenever you see a project that has hype, right, and it has a community around it, that project is most likely going to be around because that community is going to keep it around. No matter what, it's all about having a community, because without a community, without dispersing or giving your coins and distributing them amongst a community, you're not going to have use case. So Encash has a huge community, and I think that's why as a project it can have that intrinsic value, but there's other projects that just don't have that community. So that's why Electronium was a great hold for me, because yes, it might be down right now, but I think people are so focused on these top 50 that some of these lower cap coins are being underestimated. But I'm not going to talk too much about those because I think it gets a little bit too subjective when you get into like the $100 million market caps. Somebody says, I'm excited for Naeem coin. That's going to be fun. Check this video out by Roger Ver on Bitcoin. Now that we've done our technical analysis, I want to share this with y'all because I think he really depicts where we're at in the market right now, and I think this could really help you. Just watch this quick little part here of this video. Check this out.
You were once named Bitcoin Jesus. It does seem like Bitcoin has fallen from grace. Are you still holding on to Bitcoin? Do you still own Bitcoin?
If you only look at the last couple of months, then maybe you could say that. But if you look at it over the last year, it's up several 100%. And I suspect most of the different hedge funds and things that are being discussed here at the event aren't up several 100% over the last year. So.
20,000 to 6.
Got him. He said some of these hedge funds are probably not up 100% like Bitcoin. Man, it reminds me of the Mark Zuckerberg questioning scenario that's happening right now with Mark Zuckerberg, if y'all don't know. But highly recommend you all follow us on Twitter, by the way. We literally will post constant news here. And I'll tell you what, technical analysis is good, but fundamental analysis is also good. You can really get a lot of information just from looking at fundamental analysis, and that's what we focus on here. Posting different news here. Like, look at this. Brazil offered its first master's degree in crypto finance. Who's enrolling? So, highly recommend Twitter, but I didn't want to prolong this whole session here, but I want to see if there's any good questions in the audience. Let's take some questions here, whether you're on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. What do y'all have to say today? Matt Fiskland, I saw your comment, Matt, about the Zuckerberg scenario, and I think that being in such a position like as what Mark Zuckerberg is in right now, getting Facebook on a blockchain could really create a lot of transparency. And I think a lot of those senators and all those questionnaires that had no idea what they were talking about, I think that they would be a little bit more, understanding of what Mark Zuckerberg is doing if it were to be on, for example, a blockchain. Not that they would understand that, but that transparency would create a lot of positive sentiment for Facebook as a company, in my opinion. So, great comment, Matt Fiskland. I always love seeing your professional photo on our videos and our chats, man. Good to have you here, part of the Sniper Stoops community. All of you are all snipers. We are changing the world, y'all. I sounded like the BitConnect guy. Man, that was not good. But we're changing the world because we're all snipers, and snipers, we target trades, we target opportunities, and that's why this community is great. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all being here. Somebody says, why can't we rewind your live stream? This will be posted after it's already out. Somebody says, can you explain setting up a stop loss? Stop losses are easy. You want to set up the stop and then the limit, and it has to be that period. It has to be a zone, right? Because that zone is where that's going to trigger. And if that zone doesn't trigger, because it will trigger as a market order, if it's not within that zone and the price drops too fast or goes up too fast, then the order won't even be placed. So make sure you set your stop and then your limit and have a good little, threshold there. Somebody says power ledger for renewal. So I'll tell you something interesting. I invested in a project. I can't talk much about it yet because it was, it was reserved for accredited investors, and it was, kind of this low-key project that's going on right now. But I can share a little bit to the extent that it pretty much is looking to attach energy to a blockchain, right? So put energy on a blockchain and give energy and tokenize it and give it value, right? So there's this thing called energy arbitrage that occurs, and sometimes you can get energy in different areas for a lot less and then arbitrage that into other areas where it costs a lot more. And utilizing this method of tokenizing the energy allows you to transfer that energy and arbitrage it properly. And there's a big opportunity there. So I'll talk more about that project soon. I will be doing a video on that, but first I would like to get permission to do that before I talk about it. Somebody said volume is a little low. I apologize. Hopefully it's a little bit better. But somebody said Lisk for long-term hold, LSK. I think Lisk is a great project. Good question. All Eyes says, please, I respect your opinion and won't take as financial advice, but would you say it's a good time to drop 3,000 on Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin is in a fair spot. We did a technical analysis earlier in this video. I'd definitely watch the earlier part when it is published. Somebody says, is there a chance a stop loss will not be filled on Binance? My nano profit got wiped out from our trade alert. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Ron, but there is a chance that orders don't go through, of course. You have to have that threshold. So if you have your stop loss at 6,000 to 5,000, then Bitcoin goes from 7 straight to 4, doesn't go through 6 and 5, then the stop loss won't trigger. But that's not going to happen because that's an impossible scenario for the most part, unless it sees like a flash crash. Somebody says, can you recommend an exchange in the US to trade BTC for margin trades or options? Cannot find a place to short Bitcoin. Sean, I don't think there is a place, not that I know of. I am not so familiar with that, so I don't want to talk about something I'm not confident about, but I know people are on BitMEX and they do their thing, and they can do that if they want. Somebody said, I will check it, but you didn't finish your advice. Which advice? About what? My advice on to drop 3,000 on Bitcoin? My advice is go look at the technical analysis and then you determine whether or not you want to put your money in it. Don't ask somebody to do something for you, because then I need to tell you when to also exit. I'm not there to tell you when to exit and when to enter unless you're part of our Patreon. But if you're getting trade alerts, then you can utilize those. But, you know, it's all up to you where you want to put your money. Somebody says BNB will do great things, best long-term and short-term hold. I agree. BNB is a great coin, a lot of intrinsic value. So other than that, that's all I wanted to share with y'all today. I'll keep it a little bit short. Thank you all for watching. And like always, snipers out.